All right, well, welcome. This is episode 4 of the Wide Awake in Babylon podcast. My name's Chris Douglas. We came up with this. This is Tom Tabor.
Hi.
Right? This is Zacconi. Isaac's behind the camera over there, and he's the engineer. So, and he helps out. And big kudos to these guys because I'm not a technical man, so this stuff I can't, it's just hard for me to really do. So it's nice to have them doing it for us. I started this because, there's things that are talked about in this world, things that are talked about, I listen to a lot of podcasts and there's a lot of talk of current events, just what's going on here, what's going on there, what's going on here, and what's going on there. And, and I find that's interesting and all, definitely something to keep up on, but it doesn't really give us any information on to how are we going to navigate ourselves through, the rest of our lives, really, but to navigate without losing momentum, without, losing stability, without losing the inspiration to stay alive, and without losing intelligence and integrity and, those things that really help us participate in this life in a much more active way. So, the teachers I've had growing up, they taught me a lot about, really behaviors is really what it comes down to, mental behaviors, all behaviors really, and how to make sense of those and how to have those working for you instead of against you. So we just want to kind of continue this conversation that we started last time, on the manufactured identity. What that actually, what it is, what it does, to recap, it's what we create inside of our minds, how we filter the world and how we look at it. That is the manufactured identity, but it's not the one that's alive. The one that's alive is the one inside that's actually, it's so hard to talk about sometimes. The heartbeat, the breathing, the looking out of eyeballs, the being in the world, that's what's actually alive. And the identity is just this kind of construct that we've built to go through the world with. But that construct, it can only remain what it is. Once it's built, it's done. Right? So the only thing you can do is maintenance it, but it will be in a constant state of decay. So it fails at some point, to where the being inside continues even after you go through a cycle of an identity. When you figure out what that is and you end it, you don't end, because the being that's alive is still there. The one that's actually, giving the energy to the identity you're presenting is still there, right? So for me, I think, the path that I've taken is to understand what that is. And through the years and just through hanging out with the elders that I did, it's really about like behaviors, getting rid of the falsities of ourselves, like where we're not actually acting from what our desires are from deep within ourselves, that somehow it's tainted by an identity that, starts taking the reins and driving it in a certain direction. It's like I hear people's talk about, what they do, what I'm here to do. This is what I do. This is what I do. And that's great. The identity's doing those things and using the body to do those things and go off on its little things and go do its things. But, it's like the question, I think is probably the most interesting one I've come up with is, what's the soul doing here? What the actual living presence that is there, whether you're talking or not. What is its purpose here? What is it doing here? What is this thing that's animated, right? And gives you the ability to have an identity to go present to somebody. I mean, that's the thing that's actually here, right? The identity is like this illusory kind of mentally constructed idea of ourselves that is kind of like a program running. So it's not really here. But that living presence is. So if it's here, what's it here to do? Right? To where the identities want to just do this thing where I'm here to, I want to do that. It's just, it's endless. I mean, the desires of any identities are endless. It goes on and on. They want to be this and that and this and that and this and that. And it's like, okay, you can be those things, but how do you expect any of those to bring you to a state of well-being, a state of growth, a state of, upliftment, higher state of energetic presence, well-being? Because those are separate from what the living presence is doing here. It's not the same world. And I think it's interesting that as a society, especially in the West, that this is the only domain, that this physical world that the identities can participate in, manufactured identities inside of a world, cities, manufactured realities for manufactured identities, but it's like that's the only world that exists, right? That it's kind of like we've lost the ability to understand that we're existing in many more dimensions than that at once. We're not just here physically, we're here mentally, we're obviously here emotionally, and as spiritually, if you will. We exist in all four of those domains while we're sitting here. But we're, taught to really focus on this one as the most important, the most important aspect of being alive. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think it needs, how would I put this? It's kind of like the thing we should have been listening to all along is what's looking out of the eyeballs prior to us doing anything with it, right? To me, that's where it's where I find intelligence is not really looking at the world and putting value on anything in it, just putting value on what's perceiving the world, right? Not having opinions of what I'm seeing, not even having a judgment of anybody doing anything, just looking at the world, and wondering if there's, I wouldn't say a motive or an agenda, a movement for that thing that remains quiet. Like, what is its how do you get that to participate in what you got going on? Right? To give another dimension to life. Because, we live in these 1 and 2 dimensions, really. I mean, 3 maybe. We give a lot of importance to the physical realm. We give an unbelievable amount of importance to the mental realm. Right? In the emotional realm, well, that's just out of control for us. But I don't, there's a lot of people who are, devoted to some practice, some religion, some spiritual idea. But what does that actually even really mean? And if the identity's doing it, is it just not concept again and again and again and again and again and again? Just spitting off like, copies with little variations here and there.
Well, can't the identities be part of that spirituality? Like, you have an identity around your spirituality, identity around your role, all kinds of roles and relationships. Like, how is that tied in?
See, I think that's the interesting thing is like, do we create an identity to engage the world? Is it just an identity creating some kind of pattern to play? Or, or is it genuine? I mean, is it like genuinely a connected thing? Or is it just one identity bouncing off of another identity? Mm-hmm. Right? And you watch, just in society and in social circles, we've all been in them. You can watch how, it's not quite true. That's not quite true. That's not quite true. It's like all this kind of variation in the stability of the identity. Right? It varies. It's not really cut out for any kind of deep understanding of any situation. Right? I mean, it's almost as if the identity maintains a certain state of consciousness. Now, what I mean state, it's like, consciousness is infinite, right? And there's narrower states and, narrower and narrower, and then there's wider and wider and wider and wider. It's not like it's outside, you're in it, It's as much in you. You're in it. Who knows where the boundaries of it actually are? It expands, right? And that's really where that focused. But so that really can, the being inside, the soul, if you will, the one that doesn't really claim an identity of any kind and doesn't have all these necessities and needs and, those are the hard things to get rid of, is this kind of identity that has to have things and, desires and just all that. I mean, that's a real rough road. But, to pull that back, it's like that identity itself, it's limited in its scope of consciousness because it's focused in the state it's in. Mm-hmm. So there's really no way for it to expand out. But if you can drop it, that to me, it's like, one, you can drop the identity, the prejudices, the angers, I'm damaged, I'm a victim, all of it, the traumas, the pain, all of it. Just lay it all down into that identity and then just separate from it. To me, that is the teacher. It's not like there's a teacher bringing this wisdom that is going to last you forever. It's like that teacher, if you will, comes through each individual when they drop the identity and allow that consciousness to be unfettered, right? It's like, well, what's going to come into it? Well, whatever's going to come into it. Well, what if I don't like it? Well, therein lies your learning, because you can't stop it. And to have this identity, the identity is like the safety mechanism to keep a lot of, what's really influencing everything outside of the perceptual bubble of the identity. You know what I mean? Does it make sense?
It's your protection.
It's kind of like, I'm going to filter all this out so I can do this thing. Mm-hmm. But that identity, it's because it's not alive, mm-hmm. because it has no real self-sustaining motivation of its own, you kind of have to stay there to keep it safe. Because the minute that it's not being able to run the program of what it is, I mean, it's easily assailable, I guess is what I mean. It's weak. Fragile. Even in its most strongest position. The identity, if that's all it is, it's really weak in that situation. So it buckles. Right? So no matter what identity you build and how strong you want to build it, those walls weaken. It's kind of like, just to put it in a simple way to, just kind of like materialize it. If I make a truck and I make it out of all kinds of parts, that's what it is. It's not going to be anything else. It's not going to turn into an airplane or a submarine or a spaceship. It is what it is, right? And the only thing it's going to do is deteriorate. Mm-hmm. It's going to decay. It's going to lose its power. It's going to lose its handling. It's going to lose its performance. That's all it's going to do. And then I'll have to maintenance it. Mm-hmm. Right? And it'll never be what it was. Because maintenance doesn't make it as good as it used to be. It just keeps it going. Well, that's the identity. So when we have this identity, we bring it up. And, I guess one way to look at it, or one area you can look at it that really makes sense, is like when people fall in love. Look at the identity they present one another. There's a whole lot of facade going on in that. Tons of it. There's a whole lot of information left out. Right? When two people meet each other and you're drawn to one another, maybe not everybody. I'm sure there's some mature people falling in love. But, well, seriously. But for the most part, in what I grew up in, the world I grew up in, boy meets girl. Boy puffs chest up. Girl bats eyes. There's this kind of identity that's kind of fabricated in that moment, and they call that chemistry. Right? And it's like, it's weird. It's like, this is going to feed off this one, and this one's going to feed off that one. Here we go. It's like, well, it's a twin parasitical relationship at some point. Right? But most of those, 99% of people's relationships went that way. Mm-hmm. Right? They end at some point.
Because they run out of fuel?
Because it wasn't love from a living thing to a living thing. It was love from, an identity to an identity.
Yeah, an idea to an idea.
Right. It's interesting because we get in these situations where, I mean, people that I've met a lot of confused people. I've been in a lot of ways, I still am a confused person. It's confusing to understand why would people do that? I mean, of all the things you can do in the world, why that? I mean, I think that about a lot of things. But what becomes confusing is we think we're actually interacting with people all the time. And I mean, I'm guessing, in the best case, yeah, you are a person. But what about a being? Right? So you meet somebody, they tell you who they are. Right? And no matter what they say, you have your own impression of who they are. So now you're mixing their impression that they're selling you and the impression you're selling yourself, and you mix that together and you call that, I know this person. And I found that, there's been most of my really, really close friendships, there's been a conflict, a disagreement, right? And it's not even really that it's a problem. Identities are realized in those moments. Oh, shit, this is what I'm holding on. Well, this is what I'm holding on to. Because there's, at the base, and this is, I mean, whether anybody agrees with me or not, it's irrelevant. For me, at the base, there's no two human beings that can't get along. But identities, yeah, they'll never get along.
Yeah.
Right? Because they can't see the commonality because they're too busy focused on the individuation of an identity. Do you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're joining a larger group consciousness. They're staying here and proclaiming, and really maybe an invite to come join me in this little bubble. I look at the world this way. I know. Come join me. You think like I do. You have friends, and if I tell you, just the whole thing. The way that people put so much importance on identity, but none actually on what's causing them to be alive, the source of what that life is. And it's not like, well, where is it? It's in you. It is you. So it's one of those topics like, wow, it's actually in you. You're actually it. And you have no idea what any of that is, but you know who that person is. That's wacky. I mean, to me, that is, how in the hell are we ever going to have a state of communication if we can't understand what it's like to be human in the most common sense?
The trap of that also is that you think that's forever, that person is that thing forever. Right. But every time you meet them, they're actually a new person.
Right.
Or at least have the openness to expect that or allow that.
Well, yeah, that. And if you, also every experience they have adds to them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, whatever the energetic conglomeration of whatever experience impacts them, well, that's going to light up certain things inside of them. You know what I mean? It's like, what exactly would be lighting up? Well, consciousness, of course. I mean, it's almost like it just lightens up the field of consciousness, not just dark cloud around you. You actually see what's in it. Right? And it's interesting because, like, working with medicines, right? Working with ayahuasca, working with peyote, with mushrooms, with those identities, man, I mean, we've seen it. They just come apart. Like, what? I mean, I know I felt that. Like, I'm dying. And I keep hearing this voice saying, you're not dying. Your identity is dissolving. Okay, what's that mean? How much do you want to invest in it? That's how much you'll lose. It's like, oh, well, what if I don't invest anything? We'll just break agreements with it. Pull it back to yourself. It's like, okay, and it's weird because there's no one there, per se. Not anyone with an agenda or any kind of edge. It's almost like you just feel like you're just another presence inside of the presence, right? And it's really smooth, and I don't know. For me, that state it's funny, it's hilarious, it's got a lot of what would I call it, mischievousness in it.
The dissolving of the ego, or the identity.
All of it. The whole process of dissolving the ego and getting into those really weird behaviors and seeing how they manipulate you. And when you start obsessing about something and it causes you to become compulsive and you just get out of fucking control. That to me has been the most interesting aspect of life, is like, you want to go this way, then why are your feet going that way? You say you want this, then why are you doing that? And not just pointing that out in people. recognizing that inside of myself, and wrestling with this identity that's thinks it understands the world. That's the first clue that it's lying to you. Because even the thing alive inside of you ain't telling you anything about the world you're in. It's just in it. And it's okay with all of it, apparently. Because when you go quiet and you're just, you don't have any, it's like, well, how do you go quiet? Well, when they say go quiet, it's not just sit there quietly and don't say anything. You have to be quiet in all 4 dimensions. Physically quiet, mentally quiet, emotionally quiet, and spiritually quiet. And you know what I mean? So here you are doing these things. The attention you can accumulate to focus back on what's actually alive inside of you, flowing through you, because you have no idea where it's coming from, just coming through you, and here you are. To take that, all 4 of those dimensions, quiet them all down, right? So there's no energy being consumed. So that energy it lights up that consciousness. It's not being used. Nor is it being restricted to some program, to some cycle, to some pattern. It's freed from that, right? And you start to see that, the identity, what is that? It's a pattern of behavior that we put in consciousness that acts as a corral to keep us inside.
And limit us, basically.
Yeah, and so the corral can get bigger, but you're going to outgrow every corral. The thing inside of you that's like, why can't I just, it's almost like borderline despair, but like bleeding desire. Why can't I just figure this out? Why can't I just be happy? All of that. It's because the identity is the corral.
Yeah.
Right? So it can't move beyond that. It is that. It is that thing that is saying this is real and everything outside of it is not. And you can make it huge. You can make it so big you could have a music festival in it. Right? But it's still a corral. It's still a corral. It's still a corral. It's still a corral. There's still going to be a yearning going on forever and ever and ever. There'll be this yearning to push further, further out, and further the corral out. And, and I think human beings, I think it's part of the fire inside to continue that process of expanding that out. But it's almost like instead of us actually understanding it and being mature with it, we're personifying it and acting it out. And I'm not necessarily sure that's what the soul would have intended, or whatever this thing that is animating us into life, animating everything, causing everything to be alive, planets to be the right distance from suns so life can happen, all that. It's like, I don't really, to me, maybe it is, I don't know. But it just doesn't seem like that would be the intention of something of that nature. I wouldn't call it God, because God's something idea we plant. But we're clearly looking at eyeballs. There's no doubt about it. No one can say, I'm not alive.
I'm not sure about that today.
Well,
people say crazy stuff.
I mean, that.
I do know what you mean.
So it's not like what is the soul? It's like, hello, hello. It's here with you. It's animating the body. When it leaves, body decays, drops dead. Right? It's gone. So when that's it, it's not animated anymore. The animation left and the body went put. Mm-hmm. So it's the animation holding it up. What is that? And who? Well, maybe not. Who's the right word? But really, what is that? And how many of those are there? And how are they all? How is this all happening? Right? And you get into a body, and you're like, oh, hello, here I am, and you're in it. And it's strange because you come here and it's like, no, you're it. That's it. Boom. You are what you are. No. You're as fluid as you've ever been. You're just in a body. Right? But the identity doesn't, obviously, fluidity can't happen in a corral.
No. It seems like the tricky part is that like you have a spiritual practice, whatever it is that you're trying to get to that thing, like trying to drop it, and it can feel like you're doing it, but you're actually just pushing the crowd farther out, but you're actually in a finite game in an infinite universe.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's like, to me, it's like, well, what is the ultimate? I think, to put it in any kind of, descriptive way, the ultimate is to just lay the corral down and never build another one.
Not so easy.
No. I did not say easy. But, and to me, that's, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to tilt at windmills. I mean, that's what I'm going to do, Mm-hmm. It's like when I was running around with Carlos, he had me watch The Man from La Mancha, the Don Quixote story, yeah. And he loved it. I mean, he dance around singing, Dulcinea, my lovely Dulcinea, the whole thing. Yeah, and he would always say, Cristobal, you'll be lilting at windmills for a long time to come. It's like, and I see, and I've done this long. I've been at this for 30 years, really paying attention as much as I can anyway. And I understand people are going to think you're off your rocker. I get it. Because you're going beyond what is normal, rational, reasonable to people. Mm-hmm. You're reaching for something beyond what's normal. And that point is madness. I mean, really, you look at some of the greatest geniuses we've had. Madness. Just straight up madness. I mean, some of the best writers on the verge of just insanity. So that is part of it. And to me, it's like, well, what is the ultimate teaching if you're going to advance spiritually, if you want to call it that, spiritual advancement? You're going to have to be able to go through that madness without getting any on you. And to realize that the identity is a citizen of the madness.
Yeah.
Right? So the circus that goes on in the corral, come on, man, you know as well as I do, it never remains smooth. It's a bumpy road, especially when you're like trying to do something in a bigger way. Mm-hmm. That's bumpy. You got everybody's different that takes on it. You got people who are just a little too uptight. Yeah. And then you got me, who just, can be a raging bear just stomping around. Yeah.
Well, I'm the uptight one.
Well, yeah, we all got to be who we are in the world. And to me, it's like, because I've done communities with people for a very long time. And to me, it's like there's got to be I wouldn't even really call it a tolerance, an honoring of the each individual. What I mean by that is not necessarily take the shit from their identity because they're broke down and it's your fault, any of that. Yeah. But who they are in the world and what they have to go through. Because, you got to, I look at some of the stuff I've had to go through. It's like, yeah, not proud of that. There's shit. Growing up in this world, there's going to be a lot of that. Mm-hmm. So I look at the young and it's like, I'm not going to judge that. You're crashing and burning. You got a weird little life. Just come sit down. Let's talk about this. Let's see. Don't give up your dignity for this shit show, right? And don't give up your dignity to your identity. And what is dignity? You don't give up your well-being, right? You don't give up the fortitude you've built up. You don't give up your progress. You don't give up the momentum you've built because someone tripped you. You just get up and go, yo, I'll let that one slide. Next time, we might have to dance.
Sometimes you're tripping yourself, quite often, I would say.
Most likely. That's
my own experience.
Well, yeah, you can only trip over someone else if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so to keep this cohesive, can that identity be that one? Do you know what I mean? Can the identity be the one that is, and to me, this would be if there's an ultimate feat on planet Earth, this to me would be it. The identity you carry around that's so fragile, so frail, so susceptible to imposter syndrome or you're not good enough and all that crap that everybody goes through. what a feat it would be if you could take the identity that you experience the world with, the one that actually can, like, because it created the whole thing, enjoy the life it's emanating into the world, and like really treat it in a different way and be strong in it. And then when something comes after them, they don't just go on the attack. That they go, yo, hey, just can you calm down? There's no problem here. You know, I'm not looking to have any bone to pick with you, nor am I looking to have beef, you know, coming from some distant past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We're all going to be dipshits once in a while. Own up to it. Say your piece. And let it go. Let love back in. You know, let that, you know, thing that, because without that, the corral of the identity, I mean, I've been in situations with people, and large groups of people, where, you know, and what went on is really irrelevant, but the effects were like, you couldn't tell where one person started and the other one stopped. It was, you know, and people would comment that, it's kind of interesting. There's 90 of us or so in the room, and it feels like there's just one person here. There's just one being here. And then I look over at this person, and I don't see any difference that's actually important between me and them. That's actually important because they are harmonizing with one another.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of that was, you know, in the native circles. Because, you know, like Westerners, they'll drop that pretense for a dude with, you know, feathers. How my name is, you know, for the, you know, the
shining
maestros and the taitas, like they'll lay that down much quicker than they would for another Westerner, for sure. Yeah. You know, and hell, I went there. I mean, yeah, it's duh. You know, it's like if you're going to go where the presence is, right? And being a child of the '70s, all the men, you know, growing up in suburban Omaha, Nebraska, you know. People go, oh, you know, it was funny. I moved to California, like, Omaha, Nebraska, where's that? It's like, guys, it's not a cornfield. You know, it's probably one of the more money-loaded cities in the country because, you know, you got Cargill there and you got, you know, Archer Daniels, Midland. You got all these big ag companies. It's their headquarters. It's not a impoverished place. Right? So, you know, you kind of lived a pretty upper middle class life, you know, and coming from that, you know, it's like, and then the men that we were taught to look up to, the people, the women, you know, like Warren Buffett lived in Omaha, Nebraska. So, you know, he came up in conversations or, you know, people, you know, I remember I shoveled his snow once. So I had no idea who he was. I'm just a kid. None of that mattered to me. My grandfather knew him. But we were taught to look up to guys like this, right? And it was, you know, it wasn't just my dad. I mean, you know, I don't blame him. I mean, you know, it's like, no, it was that generation that politicians deserved your respect, and that men who had wealth deserved your respect, right? And so, you know, seeking these people out and meeting them, I didn't find much to respect there because what I saw was, you know, and it was weird because, you know, the money, I guess, was the big, we believe you. Well, we believe you. You have money. It's like, what is that all about? Because, you know, they were pretty nefarious little shits, you know, and watching them, I mean, you know, one of the experiences I had, right? So I'm moving someone from North Dakota, right? And I'm not going to name names, but one of them was on the board for Quest Communications, high up. And the other one worked for Piper Jaffray in the Northeast sector. And, you know, had a whole lot of Apple stock at the time, you know, so they were loaded. And they were very pretentious, right? And they were moving from their place in North Dakota down to Dove Creek, Colorado, which is just like, you know, little cactuses and the wind blows forever. There's not much water there, You know, you got this little canyon with the Dolores River, but after that, you're in the wildest of country. The elements are brutal.
Right.
And they're going to open this horse Airbnb because it's the new thing, right? Bring your horses here. I mean, they had showers for them, rooms for the horses, you know, the big double stalls and the whole thing. And then like a place for like a veterinarian to work on them. You know, it's this big, you know, built this thing, helped him build it, you know, with this other guy and a big crew of people. And then he built this big steel building, put an apartment in it. And then we were moving his stuff from North Dakota down to Dove Creek because he had a whole estate up there. You know, pianos and hutches and tons of china, you know, what goes with the more, you know, luxurious lifestyles. And so I'm moving it back and forth, and I'm by myself most of the time. I'm driving the truck back and forth. And it's great because, you know, for me at the time, I'm going through Indian country. Mm-hmm. Right, so I'm going through like the Lakota country, and you know I'd stop in South Dakota, hang out around Pine Ridge, and just I love that place. It's so wild. I mean, it can be dangerous if you're not being respectful and you don't really understand. You know, these people don't want to give up their dignity to anyone. And any kind of slight or pretentiousness or you know, hoity-toityness, they're not putting up with it. You know, I don't wander into places and do any of that because I love that. You know, to me, that's my heart. My heart is really there with natives. Just because, you know, for me, the reason of that is because the only satisfaction I've ever known I've gotten from this deep connection to nature that I feel like, oh, there is something there that is noticing. There is something there that is, you know, kind of lighten up the path I'm taking, right? And it seems to emanate through me as me in a way that maybe I can make some sense out of this life. Maybe. You know, and really get somewhere. You know, ultimately the case. But, you know, anyway, to see what we were offered as role models, I didn't like any of it. You know, and in meeting some of them, well, just like this guy.
Yeah.
By the end of what we were done, I mean, I remember we were driving across. It was so funny because I was broke as shit. You know, Carlos had just passed away a couple of years before this. We were living in Dolores. It is impoverished. It's the Four Corners. There's really no money down there. Nothing really going on down there. You know, other than coal factories. You know, Walmart. That's about it. It's where you work. Walmart. Everybody works at Walmart. And so we're moving this stuff down, and he was rode with me once. So we're driving in, we're in Wyoming somewhere. He just looks over at me, and he's just grumpy. And I'm just smiling. He looks over at me, he's like, what are you smiling about? He got angry. He's like, you know, you pissed me off. And I'm like, really? Why is that? He's like, you have nothing. Matter of fact, you have less than nothing unless I pay you. And I have way more than you. As a matter of fact, for anybody else, I have everything. And you're happy and I'm not. That's exactly what he said to me. I just looked at him like, Mac, I don't know why you're so miserable. You're just a miserable man. You know, and we just kept driving. And then we get into some town in South Dakota. I don't know what the name's, Bismarck or something like that. And we get there, and he wants this printer, this specific printer. You know, we're talking about, a tech guy wants a specific printer, and he thinks he's going to be able to just walk into like a Sears inside of some podunk town in South Dakota. Well, maybe not podunk, that's mean. Small, rural, nobody's really paying attention to the outside world at all kind of place. And he walks in there, and he asks for this printer, which obviously I don't have. That's $1,500. Everything there is $99, you know, what that town could afford. Right. And he starts screaming at the clerk. What do you mean you don't have it? All right, I'm just watching. That, to me, that's entitlement. That is like vicious entitlement. I was sitting there watching it go down, right? And I just walked up to the clerk, and I said, hey, sorry, he's being a big fucking baby right now. He is being a pathetic, rich, entitled piece of shit. And he stopped screaming. He just looked at me and was just shocked that I'm sitting there talking about him like that. Yeah? And he couldn't fire me.
Well, not that you haven't ever been fired.
I knew too much. What's funny is because it's interesting because what I found is not only can they not keep their more nefarious behaviors at bay, they at some point start to respect you because they know they can't buy you, and they know that you're not gonna just lick their boots. That you are who you are, and you are solid in who you are. You have. I mean, this was after I knew Carlos. Of course, I had way more confidence, way more presence, way more awareness about who I'm going to be in the world and who I'm going to interact with, and how those interactions are going to go. At least from my side of it, right? And so it was back and forth with this guy constantly. So one of the trips home, we land and we're unloading the car, and he looks over at me and he says to me, "Hey, you know what?" I said, "What's that?" He's like, "You should let me sleep with your wife." I went, "Excuse me? What did you just say?" He's like, "You heard me." I'm like, No, I don't think I heard you. Say that again. He says, "You should let me sleep with your wife." And I looked at him, and he thought, I'm going to cave in. I don't have any money. I mean, as much as I would talk back to him, he still had this kind of, I'm the king guy, right? And I looked at him and said, "Well, let me go ask your wife if that's okay with her first." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "No, we're going to go in and we're going to ask Gloria. Hey, Gloria, you okay if I'm back, with my wife? Is that okay with you?" And he just kind of looked at me, terrified. So I had him in, like the palm of my hand. So he couldn't do anything. Right, and his wife did not really care for me much. She's a executive, like long-haired dudes living in some backcountry, Four Corners area. Of course not. That's not her thing. So we're out. This is how it ended. We're outside one day, and she's got this big hole dug, right, and she's gonna line it and make a pond. Yeah. And she's getting depressed because they've been there for like 6 to 8 months. And nobody's booking this horse Airbnb out in the middle of the shit sticks where there's really nowhere to even ride outside of the wind. You're just on a big flat, desert plain with snakes. No one's taking their horses out there. I mean, I kept trying to tell them, but they just wouldn't listen. They had their dream, and common sense was not going to play into it at all. No. My emotions play into my dream. Common sense, you stay out. That's why most people fail, right? And so we're standing there one day, and she's telling me this, no one's booking it. I kind of trying to, maybe second guessing it. And I said, well, you can turn this into something else. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we could just put up a bunch of single wide trailers right here, and this can be the pool for your new trailer park.
Yeah. She didn't like that?
No, she made me leave. She said, you get out of here.
That's when you got fired.
Right. Yeah. And, and we were paid, we were doing contract work. Yeah. So I told him half up front and, half when jobs are done. But I already took the half up front, and then she let me go the next day. Oh. So she wanted to take me to court and sue me. So she goes in small claims court, files the thing. And then I show up, she doesn't, and they throw it out. That same guy ended up dying in a prison in Pueblo of a heart attack. He had come up to Pueblo to be pedophilia.
Oh, wow!
Right, and to me, and it's so. Yeah, he died. He got caught. It was like a sting operation. Like wow. Why don't you have a seat? Why don't you take a seat over here? That kind of thing, right? And you know what? And the reason I bring that up is what was interesting, because I had a lot of these experiences with people like this. John McAfee. That was off the rails. And interacting with these people, it was like the deepest study into what really elusive manipulation looks like. Right? And it's not that I apply that to anybody. I don't go around with a razor and cut everyone open looking for those things. Nor do I really even call them out when I see them, just the people I know. That darker aspect of being a human being and needing things that you haven't really made yourself deserving of necessary through your own work or the grace of whatever. So but it was interesting to watch because most people just catered to them. It was like, boom, just lay down their attention at the feet of this person, right? And it's like. But the only thing that was actually doing that was the identities. Right. Right? The being standing there going, I'm dead tired and I don't know why. It's like, well, you just let your identity give all the attention to this asshole. And why'd you do that? You know, it's like, and to see, you know, identities, it's like, what is, you know, well, that's, you know, that's kind of a abstract idea. What is an identity? Well, I definitely know it's built out of behavior. That you know, is it built out of thought as much as it's built on acting out thoughts that go against your better judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, you know, there's so many times that, you know, in my life that I noticed, you know, it's like there's an opportunity to do something that seems like it has benefit, and everybody else is doing it, and they want you to come along, and you just don't feel like it's for you.
Yeah.
And then the pressure to go do it. So yeah, you got that. But what are you missing out on? And you know, and it's like to have that dichotomy going on, to have that kind of tug of war, that duality going on. Mm-hmm. That there's one saying, you know, and there's times where one is saying yes, 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 and the other one's going, no, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. It within your own self.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to like, wow, that duality. I mean, that's mental illness right there. That how could that not create it? You're splitting this kind of unit, this consciousness. It's like you have two corrals and then another one inside.
It's a Venn diagram of corrals.
You know, it's like, okay, so I'm gonna build this identity for this situation. That's a corral. Mm-hmm. So I have to put attention on that. Now I'm gonna build another one for when we're at the ball. Boom. Another one when the cameras are on. Boom. Another one when I'm feeling slightly here. They all have to be maintained.
It's kind of like roles is how I kind of think of it a little. Like you put yourself, like I have a career and I have my career role or identity. I'm a husband or a son or a brother or a friend. Like those are all different roles, and there's kind of identity that goes with each one. Does that play?
Well, you know, for one, I mean, when we say the word roles,
mm-hmm.
the role you play
mm-hmm.
as what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, can you know, my role as a father, my role. Well, right. So that's not you.
Mm-hmm.
It's you. I mean, this has been said over and over by people for a long time. You are not what your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. You know, I mean, go hammer through that, but everybody's heard it.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not they've understood on a deeper level what that actually means, that you are not what you say you are what's looking out of the eyeballs, because without it, there wouldn't be a you for you to have.
Mm-hmm.
So who's having all this? Right? Which is the one that's creating the conditions of life, animation, consciousness, interaction, human, and, you know, motor skills, and the whole thing. What is creating that to live this life? Right? And that identity has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing at all. It has no say in it. I mean, yeah, it can cut your life force off. It can, you know, you can have an identity that gets suicidal
mm-hmm.
and bury yourself in it. But I think, you know, the thing that it's like, well, then why are they so sticky, and why is it so hard to get rid of if it's just a construction piece, just an mm-hmm. idea I have in my head? Then why does it with me so much? And to me, it's like, it's the same reason that the rich man, you couldn't see his bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're pouring attention into an identity. You, the living being, that attention, whether you're doing that intentionally, which I don't think that presence does that intentionally. I think there's a me, an I that gets in there. Dude, I'm this and I'm that, and I'm going to wear these clothes, I'm going to drive this car, and I'm going to have these ideas, these political leanings, this and that, and my hair's done this way, and these are my pronouns, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is not ever going to understand or be in alignment with what's actually sitting there.
Yeah.
Right? You just can't. Right? It's not alive. How can an identity realize it's a barrier to growth if it's not alive? So, but here's the interesting thing. If you give it attention, your description of the world, the description you're being told the world is, the narrative that's being sold to you, the one you write yourself, I mean, all that. If you give that attention, I mean, really, what is attention?
Life force.
Right. You're giving it life. Right? You are the one that is giving life to it. And it's like, I'm weak. Actually, no, you're not weak at all. If you look at the delusion you've created for yourself and how powerful and how much power that has over you, how that can take you into depression, into fear, into thinking that what happened to you as a child is still happening to you now. And that if people looked at you like a loser when you were a kid, they're still looking at you like that now. That you'll never be good. I mean, yeah, it goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah. It's like the person with the money. It seems like that whole thing's been super duper reinforced by the society because they have this adulation of some sort. It's not even the money's fault. It's like it ossifies it. Like actually just reinforces it so much.
I mean,
it actually makes them more the victim actually than.
And here's where I think a lot of people start to part with me. Because I think it's born out of just sheer laziness of not being honest with the whole inside of yourself. So you got to fill it. And what are you going to fill it with? You're going to fill it with objects. You're going to fill it with experiences. You're going to fill it with, certificates on the wall of PhD and this and that. I mean, that's what you're going to do. So it's an attention economy.
Yeah, of course.
And it's never been anything but that. Right? It's like if you're hungry, you're going to give attention to food. Well, yeah, if someone's got it, well, here we go. We've started the commerce.
Well,
right? And it's like, well, really, I mean, it started probably with food.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it started, I mean, it had to start with a necessity. Otherwise, because you don't really have free time to just go run around and do whatever the hell you want. You got to be like pretty consistent in your paying attention to the changing of seasons and where the food is and where the water is and following herds. And so you probably didn't have time for like luxuries or just novelty items.
Right.
So it probably started with food.
Yeah.
Right? Attention. Right? I mean, do you give food attention when you're not hungry? No. But when you are, boom, there it is. Right? So anything, and it's weird because, okay, if it's an attention economy, then anywhere that you're going to pay attention is going to be commodified. And look, I mean, so for years and years and years, we've lived up here. And, close to 30 years, a couple of years away from here. But pretty much I lived in the same area for 30 years. Used to go to the National Forest and just park your car and go walk. And then, I don't know, somewhere around 2000, hiking became like a thing. At least talked about, hiking trails, and suddenly outdoor websites, find this trail here and that trail here, and all these people are doing it. And they were paying attention to it. Then came the pay stations. Then came the toilets. Then came the gates. And then came the hosts, and then came all the rules that make you feel like you are in a homeowners association instead of out in nature camping.
Right.
And they do it with everything. I mean, and I don't know about who they is. They is the human race. Us. Am I doing that? Well, no, obviously not. And most of us aren't. And who is? Well, I don't know. I don't know their names. I don't know their intentions. I don't know why they do what they do. But it just seems to be manipulative. That, I mean, look at spirituality. I mean, as a thing, it's a thing now. It's like the thing that stayed outside of being a thing is now a thing.
It's kind of been a thing a while, though, hasn't it?
Well, not a thing. It's been how would you put it? I mean, and what I mean by thing is, was Kabir, like, commodifying his writing? Was Rumi, was any of those guys? Was Knitters, was Gradata? I mean,
they weren't trying to make a thing.
Yeah, they were trying to speak of, truly liberation from this tightness inside that doesn't allow you to feel your life force like you should. Right. So you look like shit at 60. It's like, to me, and what's interesting is I've been ill as a child, and I had really strong identity problems. Which I meant, I reinforced those sons of bitches, boy. Because the world, I mean, I just felt like it would just buckle me if I didn't. So I had a lot of invested in that. So bringing that down to where it's, whether or not anybody thinks you have one, that's up to them.
Mm-hmm.
But for you to feel inside of yourself genuinely that, no, I'm just here learning. Yeah, it could look like it to anybody else I'm doing this or I'm doing that, but for me, I'm just learning or trying to as much as I can about, and not so much about, specific things necessarily, but how this thing looking out of my eyeballs is going to be okay with this world no matter what state it decides to find itself in. And those identities, they're just, they make you look at the world in a way that it might not be.
Right.
Mm.
And it's interesting because, you get mixing with these natives, you see that.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, huh. It's just like, oh, it's just simple real life. There is no thing to get hung up about. And then that's over, and you go back home, and here comes the identity again. That truth that dawned upon you, the identity you see that it can't work with it.
Mm.
Right? I mean, to me, I think that's even one of the more interesting things about plant medicines is that they kind of remove the identity and show you that there's an existence without it, and that if you just stop with the fear or stop trying to hold on to the identity with everything you got and just let go of it, you're still there. But it's a you that's clear of all this kind of anxiety and fear and anger and resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a lot of you hear a lot of people saying, "I'm sorry," or "I forgive you," just to the air. It's like, to me, there you go, cleansing that conscious. Is you're not even cleansing consciousness. It's like, for a moment, you're wiping the corral away, right? You're just kind of dissolving it. And to me, it's like when Carlos in his books talks about the tonal on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like how I see it, is that the identity is a corral, and you're in it. So there's like shit in there, right? and it gets stinky, it gets old, it gets worn out. There's no real nutrition there necessary, so to speak. Right? And so you lay the corral down, you let that become part of the entire, prairie, if you will, the infinite prairie of consciousness. Right?
Giddy up.
You let it become what it is, and you let the winds of that, which you don't get to have a say of what those are, and they're going to blow you around while they're blowing your little platform clean. Right? And let it drop new seeds in there, and you can just rebuild your corral.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like, that's why no one should ever really obsess about a spiritual path, because they might be thinking they are prepared for something far bigger than they're actually prepared for. Sometimes it's best to just, okay, here's my identity, here's my corral on the prairie, and it's getting ugly and dirty. Okay. Do something that drops the corral so that becomes a part of the infinite prairie, that it gets reinvigorated, reseeded, cleaned out, and then put your corral back, and it'll be not so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be, and it'll have like a purpose again. A re-enlivening of its motivations to go do what it's going to do.
As those arise as you quiet the mind, essentially.
Right. So there's a whole practice for those people. And, no one wants to admit to whether they're one of those people or not. They're always shooting for, God status, fifth dimensional being, I'm going there. And it's interesting because it's like you kind of have to resolve to the fact that, because you have no other knowledge of how it's going to go, you might just be what you are. That might be it forever. And some people are okay with that. And that was one of the hardest things, getting into a spiritual kind of, path, whatever. When I was younger, being like that, like obsessive about people's behavior and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And it's not spiritual enough. And I was like, whoa. Thank God Carlos came along. Otherwise, I would have just been just a stupid new age boy. It's like, because there has to be, maturity in that. And that maturity is being able to part with that identity.
Yeah, you're not
and see
born
what really
mature.
has. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like once you part with the identity, you see what has strength. You see what has stability. You see what's been a foundational thing all along. It's never changed. It's always been what it is, and it's solid, and it's never going to stop. You kind of get a glimpse of what that is, right? And that everything is coming from there, and that has not changed a bit. It's like through all the ceremonies, we've gone to the jungle, and all the work. I always end up in the same place. It's weird. It's like, yeah, I'll take a different avenue, but I always land in this. It's like, it's not that it's static. It's not. It's unchanging, but it's not static. There's like this kind of presence of energetic. I mean, let's just say I can feel the presence through the energetics. Okay. Mm-hmm. And it's like a solid foundation that just kind of vibrates, but it never does this. It's always just steady. And then it kind of comes up, and then, wherever it trickles into decides to wing, wing, wing. So all these weird patterns coming off. But it's always like that solid place. Dark as shit. I mean, it's not like it's full of light and beings, but it's vibratory. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. It's like I can feel the shell of me, if that makes any sense. And I can feel the vibrancy that's in me, and I can feel the shell around it. But it's like the shell becomes like this membrane that vibrates between what that solid foundation is and what's inside of me. And it just starts undulating like in a rhythm. And then it just starts generating all of this, how would I put it? I wouldn't say euphoria, because like all those words, love, I mean, they're all been tainted. Like a presence that rockets forward, and it's like this flow of life coming through that it doesn't even occur to you for a split second, for even a moment, to question it. And what it points to, you don't question it. And it's not because it's really tricky and it's convincing you of anything, because you're not really thinking. Mm-hmm. It's like it's pointing out patterns and processes that you're kind of engaged in on, even more like a galactical scale. Physically, I mean, all of it really inside of the whole thing. And it shows you what patterns you're tracing. And you're like, oh, interesting. And it's like the you that's learning, it's interesting because, like I was starting to say earlier, the perfect feat of an identity is to be as much of a replica of the soul as possible without faking anything. So when the soul comes in as this kind of expressive, wanting to support, loving presence, that the identity doesn't squander that. That the identity understands what the parameters are for this and follows that and that only. Doesn't seek advantage in it, isn't looking for love in these things, isn't looking to have one up on anybody. Just basically doing what it's doing, and those that are kind of in the same kind of stream can kind of cohesively go together so they're not just bumping into each other and creating conflict all over the place. And to me, it's like if we can remove all that chaos and conflict of the identity, right, but still hold this thing that values this world, but to not let it get to the point where it's deciding value, that it's just seeing where it's at, because then it would be doing it from a point of how does it feel instead of what's it going to get me. Right? Because all those things outside, suddenly now you're feeling things as they are. It's kind of like when, if people come up with an allergy and don't want to go to a doctor, a lot of them will just stop eating everything, fast for a couple days, eat one food, see if it's that, eat one food, see if it's that. Sometimes that's exactly what we need to do. Right? And the identity doesn't know when to do that. Right? Because it doesn't have consciousness. Right? It has a corral inside of it.
That's consuming your attention, your life force.
Well, right. And it needs you to prop it up. It needs you to maintain the corral. needs you to maintain any cracks that might be, an offensive, something offensive coming in, right? And you need to amass resource there. But the interesting thing is if you corral yourself off in anything, you're going to need resources from outside of the corral.
It's like the supply chain to the castle.
Right. Energetically. I don't mean food and cars.
Yeah, but
I mean on an energetic level of like this feeling of at least having some kind of dignity, some kind of, feeling good about yourself without needing to, go crazy about and, put all the jewels on you. All the my accomplishments stuff,
So I imagine that people may go, okay, that's cool. So how do I get there? How do I just drop a corral? That sounds, and not destroy my life in the process.
Well, I mean, maybe your life needs to be destroyed or transformed, transmuted.
Yeah.
I mean, mine did.
Yeah.
My entire life had to get destroyed. But better for it.
I mean, I've found that, going through the processes I've gone through, the adventures, if you will, it's like there's times where it just gets so beat up, the identity, that it's like it's the way you get rid of it.
You got to get sick and
it has to. Yeah, it has to be seen for what it is. And as long as you're going to maintain it, then you're going to prop it up and you're going to maintenance it. Well, what do you maintenance it with? Glossing over the poopy spots. Glossing over sometimes your real feelings to keep the peace.
Yeah.
Right? And the identity's got to do that. Otherwise, its corral is threatened. Right? But there will never be a connection from being to being. There can't be. Because the identity is what's given precedence in the relating. Right? That's why, to me, it's like when people come up here. I mean, we've all heard it, so it's not like I'm trying to get egotistical about it or think I'm the greatest thing in the world or that we're the greatest thing in the world up here, because I don't. I don't have any of that thought. I just love people. They're interesting to me, and, Carlos taught me about behaviors in ways that are, as unorthodox as it goes. It works, right? To show, not to get people to follow you like you're some kind of damn guru, because he wasn't that at all, right?
All right.
I mean, he basically wrote those books and nobody knew who the hell he was. He never came out in public. I mean, a couple times, but a lot of stuff written about him, fine, but nobody's got pictures, none of that, No one actually. He always would say to me, I like the common man and I want to remain common. I totally get what you mean, because the minute you get into those, arenas where now you're invited to do a talk on consciousness, you're toning it down for the masses
to be accepted.
And it's like, if you actually told the truth, you probably wouldn't have a following. Because the truth is, this shit's nitty gritty. It's not love and lighty. Let's put on some fairy wings and dance around in a onesie. That is not it, And you watch like these. I don't know. I've never been to them.
I have.
So I'm going to say something that's basically how I imagine them to be. It's interesting because we had a bunch of people here, and they hung out for a few days, and it was a group of people, and I could feel this kind of instant wanting cohesion instantaneously. Not spending any time here, not actually like getting to know us and our flow and what it's like here on a day-to-day basis. But they wanted this cohesion with something they didn't even know what it was. Right? And it culty. Just giving up that, oh my God, this is it for me. This is the thing for me. Right? It's like, you gotta understand that for now, that's probably true. But you have a whole life to live, and you aren't going to be the same person in a month, let alone tomorrow. There will be there's going to be something that's changing you. You're doing, things are being added to you, so of course you're different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so careful with that. But anyway, we were all sitting there, and I could feel that. It was that day I went, so, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to watch cult
Oh, I
documentaries.
remember that day. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yes.
So we put on the cult documentaries. We put on the Source Family
Mhm.
with Father Yod, right, having children with young women, and you know the whole thing. And then we
Yeah.
did the one Holy Hell, the one out of Austin,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? And
And
then
there was
you know,
some woman that did some weird Christmas lights thing.
yeah. That was the Love Is One
Okay.
document. Yeah, watched all these with these people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know some of them are part of these communities who have these kind of new agey ideas. And we're
Empowerment
watching it,
groups.
and I remember at one point they're doing a particular practice at this cult, and I turned and I looked at everybody because it's a pretty common thing that a lot of people are doing today. Yeah, and I looked at him and I went, does any of this behavior look familiar to some of the stuff you guys do? They're just kind of like, oh, shit. Yeah, they changed their names. He's Astarius, and she's Aquarius, and he's this, and he's that. They're all wearing white now. You seeing the culty behavior going on here? Are you seeing that your identity is on a spiritual journey, and it can't actually do that? That it will falter, and if you're not careful and you take that too seriously, at some point you messing around in those realms that are stability itself and will not allow that, they'll come crashing down on you
Mm-hmm.
and turn your little fairy tale into a damn nightmare in about 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Because of what you thought was true, suddenly you realize.
yeah,
it
so
wasn't.
how to get there? It's weird. It's like it's the worst kind of honesty you can have with yourself.
Yeah.
That no matter how much you've accomplished or what you've done, you do have to just own the fact that you're just doing things you don't even know if they have value. You know what I mean? You have no idea really what you're doing here. How long is this even going to go on for?
I mean, I have a lot more experience in this than you do as a participant.
You know, so it gets to the point where if you let, you know, and I felt that early on as a kid that, you know, the identity, the thinking, the thought machine starts trying to think about, well, okay, if there's a God, who made God? And what did God make the universe out of? And if the universe was somewhere else and was put here, where did that come from? Oh boy, you talk about fear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. I was like, oh wow. It's like the identity is the thing in us that can be enticed to try to embrace the mystery and in a sense commodify it.
Yeah. It's getting ahead. Always getting ahead. Always winning.
Yeah.
Succeeding.
Yeah. Running a marathon in infinity.
There you go.
It doesn't seem like that's
Sustainable?
No, I don't think that's sustainable at all.
Hmm.
You know, and the identity is like feels separate from all of it.
Mm-hmm.
That it must put forth an effort, and that effort must come from you. You know, and I mean, yes, to a point, obviously, you know, just obviously. There's things you got to do. Everybody's going to be doing something. There's things you have to do, like feed yourself, you know, that kind of thing. It's like if the identity is true, if you're really in a place where you want to like figure that out, get through the harder aspects of, you know, suffering, pain, limitation, then you're going to have to put up with the true suffering, fear, limitation of the identity having taken so much from you for so many years. There's no way you get to get outside of that without actually acknowledging what has happened.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not necessarily you got to go to the rooftops, you got to go see your priest, or you got to get your friends together to tell them some ugly truth about yourself. Who gives a shit? Honestly, I mean, is that what we're going to do? We're just going to run around airing each other's dirty laundry and, hey, when I was this time, I was racist at this point. You know, it's like, you know, we need to narrow it, you know. We need to go at this in a little differently that, you know, if we just acknowledge inside of ourselves where we went with the identity instead of the presence inside that actually is well-being. It's the feeling. It's what you live with inevitably from all your acts. you start to see that what the identity doesn't bring well-being. It brings a lot of things that need to be maintained that give you the illusion that you've got it as good as somebody else, or you got it as good as you've imagined it could be. But that's not a state of consciousness, right? That's just an equation. That's a pattern. That's a thing.
It's an imagination about what life is.
Right. To where if you could reduce its activity and just take the attention that you're no longer giving it and putting it to what's looking out of your eyeballs. And not as thought, as paying attention, as listening, as why does this feel this way? Even asking it that question, whether or not you're going to get an answer, is irrelevant. But to be available always for when that needs to take you to the floor. Not to say, focus on depression, but don't avoid it. And that when it comes on, anxiety, fear, the heebie-jeebies because you're not sure if all your moves are fucking accurate at all. When those come on, you don't go rushing to put out a fire that has not yet started.
Well, that's anxiety.
Right? Yeah. So you go ahead and feel what's there.
Yeah.
Right? And you acknowledge it. Right? And to me, and it's weird. It's not like it's all that much work. If you acknowledge your shortcomings, if you acknowledge what you've been afraid of and allowed to stop you, if you acknowledge the times you've taken advantage, if you acknowledge the times you've actually wronged someone, if you actually acknowledge it inside of yourself, and you don't try to chase it away, you don't try to come up with a million reasons why you did it, you just accept that you did it.
And forgiveness. Shit tons of forgiveness for self and for others.
I don't think you can forgive it until you go through the pain of it.
Right. I get that.
Because then what are you forgiving?
Well, yeah. For me, it was, just looking at the healing was for me is shit tons of tears, purging with tears, and then finally getting to a place of forgiveness for self, compassion, gratitude. It seems like that's the cycle over and over again. It's not just once that you do it and you're done. It's like,
so let me ask you a question.
Again.
So after that happens, and you do that, you get the tears and you get that whole kind of cleansing feeling. And then you feel the compassion and the forgiveness and all that comes in. Is that talking in your head or is that just a presence?
Well, it's been a lot of plant medicine. It's presence. Right. But it can, you can take it to a place of mind. You can take to I'm healing.
But do you ever feel like that, because I've watched people, they get into these elated states. They start to see, oh my God, the patterns of their behavior, how they've, allowed people to keep them down, how they've kind of bought into some manipulative game with someone else and, and be able to go through the forgiving process and put that energy that's killing you because that's just angst, but just put that down because you're only killing yourself for what someone else did. No, it's enough of that. And you put all that down and they get clear. And you just see it. You can see it on them. It's like they don't have a question about their life. It is perfect.
More solid.
It's perfect. It's just perfectly what it is as it is. And they get to that state. You can see them shine in it. Right? It's almost like the heavens open up and here come the angels. In a lot of ways, you see that. It's like, oh, wow, our ancestors are somewhere. Right? And ancestors, that have evolved as beings, it's like they're in this state that if we paid enough of attention to where the identity can't go, which is like the spiritual dimension of life, which is, there's no prairie even, let alone to have a corral on. But it's like that opens up. And you start to see, it's not that there's a hierarchy. There is a maturing process.
Yeah.
Of understanding that if you want to pretend, you're going to get eaten alive. So go ahead and pretend. But when you realize you're pretending, don't ignore that fact. And get to and then you can decide, do you actually want to do this thing? Because that's where you're going to make that decision, especially when your pretending fails. So do you really want to learn about it? Or do you just want to go on pretending you already know? Because pretending you already know gets you a seat at the table. Saying you don't keeps you locked out of the party altogether. And that's how people, I think that we've been trained to feel like that. That we need to be accepted into a particular thing, and that if we have any individuality that just does not jive, you're somehow on the outside.
Well, evolutionary, if you're not part of the tribe, you die.
Well, right.
You know, you get kicked out of the tribe, you die, and that's a life and death feeling in the amygdala in the brain, like the lizard brain. And so that desire to be part of the group is hugely ingrained in us and societally reinforced.
But I wonder if that's like, did life put that there, or
Who
was this thing
knows?
distorted a long time ago?
Who knows?
I mean, it's like, there's some bazillion conspiracy theories about everything. But what sent humanity, nature, out of balance? Where did humanity decide that madness was the way? And it's like, is that a judgment on society? I think anybody who's paying attention is like, wow, this is like a giant shit show. I don't even know what's going on. What? It's eat bugs? What? All of it. All of it. Just piling on. This person, that actor, this athlete, this movie. All of it. Jeffrey Epstein. Here comes this WF. It's madness.
Yeah.
It's just madness. It's like there's nothing any of this is bringing. How is any of this bringing actually like a sense of value to what's living inside of you? Unless you're so numb to that.
It's the game that somebody's trying to get ahead, and if it's not you, then somebody's doing it to you. I don't know. It's something like that.
I don't think there's a benefit to getting ahead in
No,
Infinity.
I don't either, but it's the game that's being played.
You're in Infinity. Who's getting ahead of who? and what's the benefit of being ahead?
Well, then you're rich and happy. Lambos bring happiness. We know that.
Yellow Lambos bring happiness.
Yeah, this shows, what a sticky situation our society's in, because it's the identity that's been given the authority to understand the world. Mm-hmm. The being inside is rarely given even, an ounce of attention as to what it is, other than gasoline for this whole thing you're going to call this life you're living, best life ever, whatever it is, influencer, life coach, what, executive,
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're not really considering what's alive in any of that. You're just using that as a source of energy to do this thing. And it's almost like trying to bleed the soul out and turn it into something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And who decides what that's going to be, right? Right? I mean,
Whoever you let that be.
Right.
That's
it's like you're
yours.
born into a world where you're going to be forced to put your soul on a particular path somewhere. And it's like, and if you don't, it's not going to be very easy for you.
No.
And to me, it's like those people have always been seen as, those are the vagrants. Those are the people that are irresponsible and untrustworthy. It's like, are they? Mm-hmm. Because the guy that's screwing you over, it ain't the homeless dude.
Mm-mm.
No, it ain't the hippie that, is walking down the street with no shoes.
It's the guy that doesn't ever get sent to prison no matter what they do.
Yeah, it's the dude in the suit that you say, that guy, I really like him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's charming.
Yeah. It's like we have to understand who is what, and it's not even who,
Yeah.
right? What behavioral condition is arising in a particular tribe of people, and it's big, and it's not left or right, it's all of it.
No.
That need to be this kind of force in the world, instead of just being with the force of the world. Tone this shit back a little bit, and just see what's actually important. To me, it's like, I think the best thing humanity could do is just, guys need to take a year off.
Yeah.
The whole world. You know what?
Well.
You got your internet. We'll make sure that's running. You got your hospitals. We'll cycle people in and out. We'll make sure that you don't actually lose anything in this. But let's just no more innovation, okay? Let's just slow the hell down. Maybe unplug some of those appliances.
Well, yeah.
Maybe, just maybe, not let the phone lead you on a path of life to where it's going to show you how you should feel and why you should feel that way. And here's the facts and here's the reasons. Just Like, live the life that's in you. Because if it was actually involved in everything you see on your phone, it would be in the room instead of seeing it through the phone. Right? So you're not actually involved in any of it anyway. Right?
And I'm not going to claim that I'm not on my phone. Like, I'm just in there like everybody else is.
So,
Yeah.
and the more that society decides to do this, the more that we can't part with the identity of, I'm somebody in this world. I've got a stake in all this. Then, we're all just going to be homogenized into some, here you go, you're all just this thing that we say you are. It's like that. If the phone if you're using that to be in touch, if you're using that to connect with anything other than, hey, we're going to meet here at this time. Here's a little statement that might ignite your brain. I don't know. Occasionally, like, hey, here's a picture of me. Occasionally, instead of selling ourselves,
The Instagram thing,
right? Or looking at other people and going, they've got what I want.
So I need to go to the phones of 1986 that were attached to the wall with a cord and no screen. But see,
but
I don't think that's real. I mean,
here's where I get to with
I get
this.
both.
Here's where I get to with it. Is, would you know what your life would be like if it wasn't so heavily influenced by pop culture, by media, by celebrities and superstars and billionaires and CEOs? If you weren't listening to everything they had to say, right? In the news, just talking heads. And actually just, okay, with what's living inside, go quiet. What is this life here? You can call all of that life, but is it? It's activity. But what's this life here, and what is it in relation to all of this going on?
Right.
I mean, I don't think you can really recognize whether the identity is dangerous or not until you get to that point.
Well, being a month alone in the jungle in Tampa was deeply useful for me in that regards.
Right.
And I came back super, super shiny in a way that I'm not right now, because that was last summer.
Right.
So I get that the unplugging. It wasn't like I hate technology, I'll never use it again. It was like I'm unplugged for a month, and wow, what a difference I can feel in myself. But I also know that I live in a world that has technology. It's going to keep having it, and we actually have to be quite careful of it and do something. I don't know. I don't think without a big asteroid, we're not going back to that primitive thing.
Yeah, ultimately, I think the intelligence we actually need is not that what's fed to us. It's what streams through us as life force. Because I have a phone. Obviously, we're sitting here in front of microphones, lights, got a phone, camera going, and, so. It's not that I don't think technology is the issue. Are you spending more of your attention on it than on what made you?
So it's the addiction,
right?
side.
So it's like, okay, what's a easy way to make this better? One way, I don't know how you do it, but make sure at least 50% of your attention at all times. 51 actually.
Okay.
Show it some respect. Show life some respect. Show what's animating you some fucking respect. Give it 51% of your attention. The other 49% is yours. And you'll find that most of the shit that you don't like that you end up doing will go away. Because when you've only got 49% attention for that identity, then you're going to be a little more choosy about what you're going to let it do with that 49%. Because if it's going to sink your train and the other 51% belongs to life, then you're going to constantly be in a state of needing healing, right? And that's a painful process. I don't care who you are. That's painful. Coming to terms with the lies you tell yourself is one of the most painful things in the world, right? Deeply ingrained. You can talk yourself, you rationalize it, but inevitably it's down there just killing you. That's it's a hard thing to handle.
Yeah.
And the only thing that could handle that would be the being. Because in order to even have forgiveness for anything, well, AI doesn't forgive. It doesn't have a life force.
No.
Right? Forgiveness is an aspect of being alive.
I'm a human, I believe, as well.
Right. And so it basically, I think that's why, when people go, well, why forgive, to forgive is one of the most noble things you can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Because you actually have to be the being to do it. That there can't be this this identity that is capable of the dark triads, the dark, those dark aspects. It's not capable of that.
It requires true humility, not faked humility.
Exactly.
But true humility.
Right. And the humility really is, in a world full of identities, pointing at all the identities, you lay yours down, bear yourself as a living being, and take whatever they're going to throw at you. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to get a lot of shit thrown at you. Mm-hmm. Being the more genuine you become in your own being, some people appreciate it, but a whole lot won't, and a whole lot will try to make your life messy because they're upset with you over it. And that's even part of that process. The identity couldn't handle that. The identity feels threatened, it fights back. Mm-hmm. It's like the lizard part of us. It's a program. It's not real. It's a construction. So it's the soul. So when I'm reading, people are reading Carlos's books. Hell, when I read them, you see all these you read about all that crazy stuff Don Juan's doing. It's like, well, how is he doing that? Well, you'd be amazed at what energy can do when it's not all tied up in an identity, right? Because the identity gets to decide what consciousness is, where it comes from, who's God, and whether this is a fluke or not. But once you lay down that barrier and you experience life as it is, it's capable of just about anything, right? And there's no one there actually performing that act. That it's the infinite field of consciousness itself arising, right? That there's no corral around that. You can't corral magic, right? So to step into those higher realms is really no need for a corral, right? So, but the only way you can do that is you have to be what's living inside of you, which means you're gonna have to give, like, at some point, all of your attention to what's alive inside of you, and 0% attention to what you're projecting in the world as what you are. You get what I mean by that?
Somewhat.
I know, and it's like, well, how in the hell would we even attempt that? Well, you don't attempt it, right? That's where
it's the non-doing.
That's where the discipline comes in. To not push it, to just watch it, be with it. It's beating your heart, so you're good, right? It's looking out of your eyeballs, so you're good. See how you're interacting with it outside the membrane that you're calling yourself, right? And follow it, and follow it, and follow it, and follow it. And it's like, that's actually there. Mm-hmm. It's almost like this guidance system, but it's only operated by what's alive, right? If the identity takes over, and now it's just, their ideals.
Selfish, petty,
done.
Offended.
It's done.
Yeah.
You're not going to ever be able to go anywhere, because the minute you're going to build a fortress and defend it, well, that's the biggest corral there is. And that's not a corral. That's a stone wall you can't climb out of.
Right.
Right. So
the castle's also the prison.
Right. So, for me, it's like, over the years, I've learned how to not take the identity seriously, to do serious work with it, and whatever needs to happen, really engage it and be responsible for it. But when task is done, dirty clothes go in the hamper. You get what I mean? To where go back to being the being. It's like, so whatever we do, right? It's like, okay, all the work is done. I'm going back to just being. Not thinking about, anything, just being alive and trying to be quiet enough on all four fronts to hear what life is saying, what to do, what to let go of. And more often than not, it's not telling me to go, you need to go build a church. You need to go do this. It's never telling me what to go do.
Except for picking up sticks in the forest.
It's
one of your practices.
Yeah. The thing it tells me to do is go pick up sticks for months. Yeah. But it's weird, because what it actually, again, this could be weird. What it asks of me, more than these big movements in the world, to create a movement in the world, or any kind of program, just keep getting rid of what causes you to lose well-being. And then taking a look at that and realizing that That's no one else's responsibility but mine.
Right.
For one, how I feel inside of me is fully my responsibility. And that not to take what they're doing personally, because if this is going on in me, chances are it's going on in them too.
Like every single person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if we could get to that commonality where the identity doesn't get to play and we're all just going to be humans and have this kind of strong foundational presence, nothing really gets out of hand. And you can actually go into the things that are troubling. You can go into the things that make you shake. You can go into the things that you've needed to part with for possibly a millennia, let alone, a lifetime. To just be able to just let that go. And there's no embarrassment. There's no need for anybody to fucking point fingers and laugh. And to me, the identity that can do that one's worth keeping. The one that can like be wronged, robbed, treated poorly, and it's not seeking vengeance, right? And then when someone does something that looks like it's against them, that they see it's a little deeper than that. I don't need to be reacting right off the bat because this person did this thing. It's like, nothing is like boom. That boom is temporary. You treat it like it's people treat it like that's going to be going on and on and on. It's like, no, it'll change. Even when you're in a bad situation, like people in relationships, or if you've been in them long enough, you've had a string of bad days, but they're temporary. And it's like, so if we could just bring back into balance, how many days are you actually on versus how many days are you just completely at wit's end? Because maybe we can change, balance that out to at least half and half. Because there's going to have to be a balance if you're not going to go off the rails. And with that balance, the identity could actually be observed instead of just enacted without any consciousness.
What do you mean by that?
How many people do we know that had some idea about who they were in the world and how great they were, and that everything should be handed to them?
No one.
And then acted self-righteous and manipulated their way into having advantage and not having to actually own up to or be responsible for anything.
Yeah. I imagine all of us have done that at some point, in some
Sure,
way.
we've all done that.
Yeah, it's not like there's a bad person that's done it. It's
No,
like,
and you know what? And you can't ever judge that until you find out that the identity is what they have allegiance to. See, I mean, that to me is, the really dividing line that's going on here is not necessarily left or right. I mean, I don't give a shit what anybody's political views are. It's irrelevant. You're going to live the way you're going to live in the place you call yourself your own. I think the real division is those that have an allegiance to identity, regardless of the ramifications of its behavior, and those that see identity as possibly an assault on the human race, possibly a big dark sorcery attempt, a hypnosis attempt, and not rage against it. Just realize that's what's happening and to choose not to participate in it. Doesn't mean pick up a gun, doesn't mean pick up a sign, doesn't mean, become a militia. It's getting to the maturity level of realizing that the reason these people are doing it is because they haven't matured yet. They haven't matured as a being to the point where they realize identity is just identity. It's just a story. Even when people start getting hurt, there's really no goddamn reason to continue it at all. So stop. That's maturity.
yeah.
To realize that, okay, playtime is over. Now it's time to get real. It's like the human race is coming out of, coming into puberty probably. On a scale of life in the universe, where probably the pubescent teenager is just full of rage. I want. And I don't give a shit about anything else. Just give me what I want. I'll pretend I did what you asked. Just give me what I want. It's like all of that. And that just builds a pretty incredible world to live in. I don't see a point in it. And that's how humanity acts. Not individuals. Yeah, of course, we're all intelligent. It's the mob that's fucking retarded.
Absolutely.
Right?
Very
Because
dangerous.
we think that's actually a thing. That's alive. It's not. It's got all kinds of different things mixing together, and none of them are, cohesive. None of them based on anything that's really organic life interaction. This is going to get ugly as hell. So, and then the understanding that comes from the mob is no understanding at all.
Right.
Right? And I think understanding that happens inside of each individual. It's like I don't think there's one bad apple that spoils everybody's ride. I think if you can realize what you are inside as a living presence, and does it take offense to any of this? Is it getting feelings hurt? Is it got some bone to pick? Does it have some ideal it has to hold? Does it have some, ideology that it can't let go of? Does the soul actually have that? I don't think so. That's an identity. That's basically like, just to paint a picture. There's two people in the corral. One wants out. One wants to stay in. And the one that's going to stay in is going to turn into an authoritarian. And the one that wants to get out is going to get reckless. Right? So you get this battle going on inside of you. Because how many people have, I found my bliss, and then, they blissed themselves right into oblivion, into a complete train wreck. And they were following my bliss, right to your destruction. Just like you could follow your hatred right to your destruction. But you follow your bliss, you're going to end up in the same spot. Right? Because that's the identities play in the world. It has nothing to do with the soul. The soul is not satisfied because you went and ate. You know what I mean? The satisfaction is within this realm. Soul. This is doing what it's doing. It's animating you. And it's like, so what would be the point of that? What's it trying to raise, if you will? What is it allowing itself to be a foundation for? Your identity, it's some reckless identity that takes no responsibility, kind of is not so honest about its interactions with people, or what its intentions are. It's like that soul has integrity. It doesn't do that. It's not participating in any of that. Right? Is it causing damage? Well, yeah, you're going to feel drained, lost, scared, depressed. Your life is valueless. The suffering that comes with, going against who you actually are. And what you actually are, actually more than who.
Yeah.
Because what you are is apparent. Who you are, well, you got to open your mouth for that to come out. And who knows what that is.
Right.
So to me, it's like, instead of getting flighty and conceptual things, just feel what's inside of you. Well, I don't like what that is.
Or I don't even know.
Yeah.
That's the big one,
Well,
too.
you don't like it, it's yours. Feel it. Maybe through feeling of it and not running from it, you'll find where the root of that is. Right? Then you can decide whether, it's that thorny bush you want to keep in your garden, or if it's something you want out of there, and put something else in its place. Or put nothing in its place and let it go wild.
That sounds better.
Yeah, it kind of does. Because I kind of feel like once the identity is truly conquered, trained, if you will.
Yeah.
Probably a better way to put it. Life will, it's weird. It's like you'll immediately go back to balance because there will be nothing resisting it. Consciousness is cohesive. It's not going to separate and have dimensions and hierarchies. It's one thing. There's different states, which are frequency, different vibrations. Because there's, you can be in the one body and feel as expanded as the universe and as small as bug, right where you're sitting. So that's where you're growing in and out of, right? And if the identity can be trained to let go and drift and not set up a stronghold, but a little encampment, for a couple of days.
Is that okay?
You know what I mean?
Well.
And just kind of absorb that and then
Okay.
bust it all down and just keep moving. And how would that look in a modern world where the sense of duty is everywhere? Right? It's like, how are we going to take the modern world that's really making life like not even fun to live anymore in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
and remove that element of it to where we can have the adventure of life and not be considered reckless children, not doing anything productive. Because a lot of what you call productive is destructive. To the larger scale of life, it's a destruction. It's not productive at all. It's like, how productive is it to put up another coal plant, to build yet another damn McMansion out in the middle of the woods? To change whatever those, it's like our value system needs to be given back to what's actually alive, and not in this idea we put in the world. That'd be like handing a country over to actors. You see what happens. All right. I'm not a president, but I played one in a movie, so I can do this. That kind of shit.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
dude.
Well, we've had several actor presidents.
Well, yeah. I mean, when's the last? When was the last person that was actually genuinely there going? To me, it's like, okay, so imagine, you just got elected. Let's just, for me, let me just say, take on this persona.
Okay.
Let's just imagine I just got elected president, and as genuine as I can be, and as real as I can be. My first thought would be, how in the hell can we help everybody to get out of this mental jam they're in?
Okay.
To where the divisiveness, not give you money. Like, actually bring into a national conversation, what's with all the divisiveness, folks? Right? And no behind, it's like, well, one way would be, okay, let's just take some of these officials that are making decisions, and let's just have a conversation with them live, where everybody gets to hear what's going on in the country.
Oh yeah, transparency.
Absolute, beyond transparency.
Absolutely.
And just do that. I don't have that dark of a record that I would be embarrassed it came out. So
No.
because when they dig up your shit, I think that just scares a lot of good people who are once bad to be like good leaders. Right? Shit, where do they find that?
I mean, the more centralized control is, the more authoritarian it becomes.
Well, you can be a central unit for decentralization.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, if anybody has got a heart in wanting to help, they would be the center for decentralization.
You're preaching to the choir, my friend.
So question. So what would happen? What do you actually think will happen? Because you won't be president.
Thank God.
But how do you actually see this happening for you?
Well, it just really all depends on what perspective I'm going to look at this in.
Right.
For me, I have tried to design my life in such a way that it's simple, it's not very expensive, it's quite pragmatic, and the only thing I'm going to really invest in is things that I find add value to the experience I'm having while I'm on Earth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The reason I do it the way I do it, and whether anybody thinks it's chaos, I don't give a shit. It's trimmed. You all know that. I don't do much. What do?
Pick up
sticks. I'm with you a lot of the time, picking up sticks.
It's like, what are you doing up there? I'm picking up sticks.
Yeah.
Every day you come by the stick mountain, it gets a little bigger. Or we're getting dead logs out of the woods, Yeah. One of the things, to me, it's like, okay, so what's important here? That it doesn't burn down to the ground. So the first thing, fire mitigation. You can build buildings all day long. I don't know if building that in a pile of matchsticks is such a great idea in such a dry area with lightning. So, for me, that's important, right? And it's like, people don't want to do that. It's boring as hell, picking up sticks. But for me, because, the process I want to engage in is to do that leap, that leap off the cliff, to really annihilate the identity as much as I possibly can, beyond what I think my capacity is. To push it to what I can actually do, not what I think I can handle. Push beyond that. A little bit more all the time. And picking up sticks is that.
Right.
Because what's glamorous about it?
Nothing.
Nothing. So it's an unpleasant experience. So guess what? All the unpleasant sides of yourself come to play sticks with you.
Yeah.
So you can either get angry and frustrated, or you can work with the more negative aspects of yourself while you're picking up sticks. It's a pretty simple process. So it's like I have to do something, but I still want to be engaged in the process of what I call freedom, what Carlos put to me as a path to freedom. Remove the identity, become life itself as it's living inside of you, and don't get in its way. Freedom. Be a slave to infinity. I mean, that's how he put it. Be a slave to infinity. I get it. Do what it says. Do the thing that's looking at your eyeballs. Do what it says. Well, what if I don't know what it says? Then go pick up sticks until you can understand what voice it is.
Right.
And understand the voice it is going to be a presence, an intelligence, and an upliftment. Not a degradation and a complete decomposition of you as a human being, reduced to a pile of shit. That's going to be the thing you don't want to listen to. And you can start to decide, you can start to understand, oh, this pent-up identity full of rage is this voice screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And spirit is this other one going, just keep picking up sticks.
Yeah.
Just keep at it. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. It'll change. Just go through this. And then you stop and you look back in the woods and
It smiles.
it smiles.
Yeah.
It's like, and then it's almost like you're not given, and I don't like to put it in a reward punishment state, but it kind of helps to lend itself to understanding. It's like you don't get the benefit of the act until you perform the act.
Right.
Right? There's no credit. It's not like, it's just, what's looking out of your eyeballs isn't giving you credit.
Right.
It's giving you what you can either steal from it or what it's genuinely giving you. Right? And it's like, that seems pretty, like that's a pretty authority, it's like you got to accept some authority in your life. Well, if you don't know about it, it might be a good idea. But what authority? Well, that authority would be what's looking out of my eyeballs. And if I can understand that when it kicks my ass for doing something wrong, and I can actually acknowledge the wrong, and I could acknowledge that the kicking of my ass isn't what this guy did, it's happening inside of me, well, then I can see where I participated in something that was not good for me. Right. It's kind of like Michael Tessarian said this once. I thought it was really good. He's like, what if when you get to heaven, and you walk up and you think you got it. You think you did everything right. You're going in. And it says, nope, you can't come in. It's like, why? Because of the lie. Well, I was lied to. Well, what if the conditions aren't whether you were lied to or not? The condition of you entering heaven is whether you bought the lie or not. Mm. So the responsibility is on the one who believes the lie, not on the one who tells it. Right?
Yeah, right.
Because the one who tells it, they're just looking for a reaction.
Who knows?
The one who responds to the lie and believes it, they're the responsible ones. Mm. Right? So it's like, and we're always told to be kind, considerate, polite. But those can be really dangerous traits. Mm-hmm. They really can get you in a lot of trouble. They can get you taken advantage of. They can get you treated like shit.
I know something about that.
Yeah, we all do. Here's a little more rope. Here's a little more rope. Mm-hmm. And then, it's like, okay, so if you're in a society that's going to take advantage of that, then, you're going to have to adjust a little bit to make sure that you're not getting pulled off the roof when you're handing them rope.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. So, and they're going to demand it most of the time, or they're not going to like you. Right? So the problem is the identity can never stand not being liked. Right?
That's interesting.
Just the way our society functions keeps people from wanting to actually be what's living inside of them, because that's going to be met with a shit ton of resistance and a whole lot of chaos and a whole lot of arrows and darts. Mm-hmm. Because in order for it to maintain its dignity, it's got to stop giving into the freeloading asshole. Right? Mm-hmm. And in order for it to do that, it's got to go, enough is enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then deal with the hatred from that person.
Yep.
Because it's coming. And then deal with the hatred of everyone associated with them.
Yep.
And everybody they turn to their side to hate you.
Yep.
If the identity has any investment in that going a particular way, there is no evolution. There is no maturity. There is no growth. There is no strength. There is no courage.
Mm-hmm.
How long have we been going?
Cameras are all starting to die. We're at almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Well,
Should we call it?
we should call it.
Sure.
Call it. I mean, I'm just, again, I just want to let everybody know, I'm not trying to like put out any particular plan. I want this to be an organic conversation. Let what comes up come up. Let it be spontaneous. Let whatever just comes in come in. To me, it's more about the flow of energy, and how we can kind of get some air on, in that corral and at least air it out. If not, like lay it down and see there's a brighter world right behind the eyeballs if we would just let it happen. So, yeah, some of it will be kind of, you guys are all over the place. Yeah. To me, life's an adventure that takes you all over the place.
It seems cohesive to me.
Yeah, it feels cohesive. I just don't know what anybody else would think.
We'll see.
I guess
Maybe they'll hate us. Oh my gosh! What
there's
trouble
something
we in
very
now?
nice.
Oh,
There's
they don't
something
like
very
us.
nice about being rejected.
Yeah.
You have less duty to someone else.
Oh, that's
yeah.
useful.
It's useful.
It's freedom.
But I think ultimately, though, is the only thing that actually is capable of helping another person is the soul itself, no identity.
Yeah.
And I think the only way it can do it is if it can maintain a certain level of integrity while being met with the resistance from the identity that is looking to be helped.
And there's kind of no helping anybody. There's only creating the opportunity, and then they have to choose for themselves. Actually.
Inevitably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can push them through the door, but whether they go left or right or completely insane is up to them.
What's that?
You know how hard that's been for me?
Yes.
to not be, when people come in, they want me to help them, or they want to participate and, clear and heal and do whatever. And they come in with a bunch of anxiety and they leave and they get a bunch of anxiety, and then I hear they have anxiety, and then I got to feel responsible for it. It's like, but no, I can't be responsible for anyone else's actions, thoughts, behaviors.
I've seen you do a great job not doing that as much as you used to.
Well, you helped me learn that. Like, just drop that. Oh, after he left your house, his cheese slid off his cracker for the millionth time, and it's happened a million times before he came here. How's that on me? Did if am I supposed to get a remote control and guide his life for him? Or
Cheese
does free
sliders.
will get to play here?
Cheese slider's gonna slide.
Yeah, that's it. Slider's going to slide. Hater's going to hate. Lover's going to evolve.